resistance.
What's up, everyone? This is the TinMan with the Worldwide Resistance Network. If you are watching this, you are the resistance. And welcome to TinMan TV. What's up, everyone? This is TinMan TV. I, of course, am your host, the TinMan. Joining me today, good old Reverend Ordo. And this is the Worldwide Resistance Network, the one platform in the world where you have a political podcast that actually includes you in the conversation. At which, do note, comments are enabled. Feel free to join in the conversation anytime. And as always, be sure to follow us on our various social medias, Rumble, YouTube, X, all at RealTWWRN. And be sure to check out our new online store, the link is in the description. Why do I always get that fucking backwards?
Yep.
And as always, the show is brought to you by Net Monster Blue, the fictitious product that doesn't actually exist because we are not sponsored by anybody. We are completely independent of any outside influence. And that's what this conversation is really about today, ladies and gentlemen, is outside influence, spewing disinformation, and so on and so forth. We had an incident last week, dare I say the past 2 weeks on the roundtable, and I take full responsibility for this because I'm the one that invited this problem. And to sum it up, we decided to move the roundtable to the weekend because people had more availability on the weekend, naturally. And Conspiracy Anon wanted to come out of retirement. I'm like, hey, why don't you come on the roundtable with us? You're free on the weekends. Tommy Bird's free on the weekends. A few other people are free on the weekends. Conspiracy Anon answered the call. He said, yeah, I'll come on. Because he's always been pretty good in the past. And I've enjoyed his videos. I've enjoyed his work. And I thought that it would be thought-provoking to have him on the show as a regular. And things just went sideways real quick. Revan, you care to chime in? I watched some of your video when you responded to this issue. Where do you think we should start here? Because there's just so many variables.
I would say one thing is that the one thing we don't go for is disinformation, discrediting of anybody. I've always been a observer of both sides. Kind of listen first, then give my opinion.
Yeah.
So I felt like I'll kind of keep my mouth shut for a bit, longer than usual, because I wanted to listen to it first,
Yeah.
So after a while, I did a video, and I explained my piece. I said my piece, and I held nothing back because it's that time where enough's enough with all this bullshit. I think that the people are tired of disinformation, so much crap. I think. Look, I get it. I get it. We all get it. We want to hear and read and listen to stories and information that we all want to have, so we know what's up.
Yeah, we want accurate information, and there's nothing wrong with telling a good story, but if it's not based in fact, or you can't back it up or won't back it up, then we have a problem, and therein lies the problem. We brought him back on after the first roundtable because it was just kind of the first roundtable is a little bit all over the place. We were on a particular topic for the roundtable, and then he shifts to something completely different, talking about what he and Anonymous were allegedly doing behind the scenes in terms of AI and other things that they had in the works. And he and I spoke after the broadcast, and we talked quite extensively after the fact. And I had decided to bring him back on to discuss these issues, namely the Epstein releases and the allegations and declarations that were made that Anonymous had released all this information. Now, Conspiracy Anon, to his credit, has posted the flight logs and the list of people who were on those flights numerous times.
Yeah.
And I have shared that information, but beyond that, I had not seen anything of relevance outside of what has been released by the FBI and DOJ in subsequent months. And so in the last broadcast, and we had discussed this prior that he would do this, I asked him, what had Anonymous released? Is it credible? And where can people find it? Because Anonymous has always been about one key factor: getting the information out there. And all we were hearing from Conspiracy Anon, and I love them to death, but all we were getting here was a bunch of deflection. And all I'm asking for is like, okay, you put the information out there for the people to find it. What is it, and where can people find it? Nothing. Cricket. Continuous deflection. And then we bring up QAnon because they are big into releasing information. Alex Jones is a big detractor of theirs, citing, how QAnon once said that Hillary Clinton was arrested and being held at, I believe, Gitmo is what it was.
Yeah.
Among other things. And is therefore having labeled QAnon as a non-credible source, and has since labeled Candace Owens as the proprietor of Disinformation as well. Dare I say, calling her outright the Queen of QAnon Disinformation. And, there's a lot of issues stemming from that. Candace Owens, she's doubling down and digging her heels in deep with what she's saying, especially in regards to the Charlie Kirk thing and all the allegations she's made and all the stuff that she's presented. And Jones is saying a lot of it's disinformation. These are not credible sources. These things that you're saying are not based in fact. And her supporters are doubling down, going, well, we don't care if it's not factual. We want Turning Point USA dead. And let's face facts. Turning Point USA is dead. Charlie Kirk passed away. It died. Turning Point USA died with him. Erica Kirk may have taken up the mantle and she may be running with it, but let's be honest. She went the opposite direction of what Charlie Kirk was doing. She is now pro-Israel, which a lot of people don't like. That alone, apart from any allegations of TPUSA's involvement in the assassination of Charlie Kirk and any subsequent issues involving Candace Owens and her investigation into this matter and whatnot, is irrelevant to the fact that TPUSA has effectively put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. And
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk was the face of TPUSA. It rises or falls on him. Just like, and I would dare to say this, and a lot of people would acknowledge this, which is why he's a target, Alex Jones in InfoWars and his whole platform. Without him, the whole thing essentially goes to bust. And I think a lot of people know this and realize this, that Alex Jones is InfoWars, just like Charlie Kirk was TPUSA, just like Andrew Tate is the real world and all the stuff he's doing. Okay, without the poster child, the whole idea, the whole organization flounders. But yet, we have this infighting now between Candace and Alex Jones going on. And I can understand where Candace is coming from. She wants to know the truth. She was very close to Charlie Kirk. They were good friends. And she's very upset that her friend was viciously murdered. And there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of things that don't add up. So she is going head first into trying to uncover the truth. And she's not going to back down on that. And I can respect her in that regard. Now, whether or not she's being fed disinformation or even knowingly perpetuating that disinformation or is just sticking to her guns, I don't know. I'm not there. I can't say whether or not half the people she's interviewed that remain anonymous are credible sources. Now, the airplane thing, granted, that doesn't add up. Now, there's some things that add up, some things that don't, some things that are that I'm kind of iffy on. But Conspiracy Anon, he had no reason to do that. He had no vested interest in saying, okay, I'm going to come out and I'm going to tell the audience what this stuff is and where to find it, and then turncoat and deflect. That made no fucking sense. Candace Owens at least has reason for what she's doing. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you like Candace Owens or not, whether you like TPUSA or not, she has a vested interest in what she is doing and trying to uncover the truth. Now, whether she's on the right path or not, I don't know, and it's not for me to say. Yeah, I'll leave that to Jones and her to hash out. I'm not trying to freaking make a buck off her name. We don't have monetization, nothing at this point, which is why I promote the brand and plug it so as hard as I do, because we used to be monetized back in the day, but we haven't been monetized since what, 2015? Yeah. So you figure 10 years, we have had no monetization on this. There is no profits being made from this. But yet, here we are continuing to do it. Why? Because we want the truth out there. And in terms of these issues, a lot of people are arguing that we're not getting the truth. And in regards to Conspiracy Anon, considering that affects us directly, it has to be asked why. Because not only does it discredit us, but it also discredited him. He says, and I quote, that he was kicked off a lot of the platforms that he was working on and a lot of the projects that he was working on, with the exception of one, and was wondering if we got attacked as well, which is why you now see 3 disclaimers at the opening of these videos, because we have to point out that the opinions of the individual do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the other hosts or TWWN as a whole in its mission statement. Okay, the fact that I had to come out and spend my entire fucking weekend doing damage control on top of everything else that I had to fucking do, with setting up the new store, getting the new intro made for the store specifically, and also edit down this week's episode of Your Friday Dessert. I'm sitting there having to type up disclaimers and find adequate disclaimer images
everything
for the of these videos because of something one person did.
Everything. I mean, like I said earlier, I did a video. I gave my piece and held nothing back. You know,
Yeah.
we were told where to look and everything else. And I said my piece about when we asked about the information, where can we look? And I was told, oh, check Google and there to go. Okay,
Yeah.
Google will not give you anything full if you're looking because they hide about, I'll say, 75% of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that go? If you search for it, you have it all there. Now, even did that go said DOJ released Epstein files. That's it. You know.
Yeah.
I even looked on 4chan. Nothing there. So he's the equivalent of YRV, but he's more of a YRV light.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the first podcast, he was saying things like Anonymous was involved in the Russia scandal, saying that they utilized Russia to help get Trump elected. Didn't expressly detail how, but insinuated that the whole Russiagate thing that Trump was accused of was valid by way of Anonymous trying to get him elected. Now, when you actually look it up, Anonymous, for the most part, is anti-Trump.
Yeah.
Now, there may be some Anons out there who are for Trump, but for the most part, at least in the public eye, Anonymous is, or at least has been, anti-Trump. So, which is it? Either they are for Trump or they're against Trump. And if they're anti-Trump, this is evidently spreading disinformation. Because you look it up, Anonymous had nothing to do with the 2016 election or Russia in that regard.
No.
Okay, something like that would have gotten out. And Anonymous makes no effort to hide their activities.
Yeah.
Especially after the activity is already done. That was their whole big thing back in the day. Certain things need to change, or certain actions are going to be taken. Okay, certain things didn't change, so we took this action. Okay, Visa, PayPal, you doing some shady shit. If you don't, Anonymous is going to hack your shit. Okay, Visa and PayPal didn't listen, Anonymous hacked their shit. Church of Scientology, Anonymous took grievances with them.
Sony.
Church of Scientology told them to blow it up their ass. Anonymous showed up to their front door. Okay, Anonymous makes no qualms about showing up and saying, not only are we going to do this, but we did it. But we didn't get that from Conspiracy Anon.
No.
And he's always been a good friend. He's always had good messages, good, solid messages in the past. And I'm kind of wondering, you know, I'm not trying to pick on the guy, but I'm wondering what the hell happened here. What the hell happened that we have gone from one extreme to another? And you notice he disappeared after I showed up at his house, because when me and Lucid moved across country from California to Tennessee, we made a pit stop at Conspiracy Anon's house. He gave me the okay to come by on my way down there. But when I actually did it, I don't think he actually thought I was going to show up. I think maybe he thought I was blowing it out my ass and was just talking. But then I showed up at his house and be like, hi, how you doing? And even then, you look at that video and he looks kind of nervous, like, wow, I was not expecting you to actually show up at my house. Yeah. I think he thought me just some blundering novice who gets on camera spouting his mouth, and then all of a sudden this guy who he thought was a nothing showed up, and he's like, whoa. He just kind of had the fall on your butt moment there.
I've only checked him only one time. Only one time. That was through the
YRV thing.
Yeah, years ago, and and talking to him for the first time on here, it was like, okay, well, pretty cool. Until the last broadcast we had, I'm sitting there and I'm just shaking my head until when he mentioned about QAnon, and that's when he went like.
Well, that raises a big question, because what is QAnon doing other than having released some information, much of which Jones has a problem with and has been very outspoken about, such as Hillary Clinton's been arrested and is being held at Gitmo. Okay, beyond that, I don't know much about QAnon and what they're doing and what all they have released, because they've released a lot of shit. So I could not sit there and say definitively A through Z, what all they have done or are presently doing, or why Conspiracy Anon practically shit his pants on camera when QAnon was mentioned. Because QAnon's, from my understanding, is the outlet for information. So if you have something like the Epstein files, you would get that to somebody like QAnon, who is going to get it out there and distribute the information. I'm like, so I go, okay, can they look up QAnon? Is QAnon going to have this? Oh, we don't talk about QAnon. We don't talk about QAnon. Well, why not? What's wrong with QAnon? Apart from Alex Jones's issue, which, sometimes you do get fed bad information. Sometimes you think something's true and you put it out there and you find out that it's not, and you have to post a retraction, or you just throw your hands up and go, okay, I fucked up. Okay, it happens to us all. We try to be as accurate as we can on these podcasts and present true and accurate information, but we also encourage you to do your homework, do your research, and make your own determinations and form your own opinions. But at the very least, we try to be as on point and factual as we can with the information that we present. So if somebody comes on and they're presenting something and it turns out to be a farce, that makes them look bad. It makes us look bad. It makes the people they're representing look bad. Like, why? Why would you do this?
That was like when we did the last broadcast about the black-eyed children and the men in black.
Yeah,
it's just kind of talk about it, but also debunk it too. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I mean, the black-eyed children is an urban legend. It's like a creepypasta. It's not anything that's based in fact. Now, the men in black, there have been actual reports of men in black suits showing up after a UFO sighting or this or that. It's been known. Government agencies and military personnel would be all over that shit like flies on shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's a documented fact. But the black-eyed children thing, we talked about it, and inevitably, it was agreed on, at least in terms of off-camera, that it was more or less a creepypasta, an urban legend.
When you look at the men in black, I started to think about how they can now create masks, like to
look like another person.
Yeah.
Didn't King Cole have one of those?
Yeah.
Did he up and with wearing a mask that he got made him look like a completely different person?
Yeah.
I mean, you see these things advertised on social media all the time, Facebook in particular, like they'll advertise those kind of masks. I mean, I have no
what
doubt
I think
that
about.
talking about this with my phone sitting right here, that the algorithm listening to my fucking phone is going to go, oh, hey, he wants to look up these masks. So I'm going to start seeing ads for this mask because we were talking about it in front of my phone.
Yeah.
And Google listens to everything we fucking do.
That's where I see the Men in Black is just a couple of guys and wearing a mask and shit, and driving a late model black Ford or Chevy or whatnot, all black.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is that, the people out there, they're tired of the bullshit. They're tired of all this propaganda. They're tired of disinformation, because thing is, if you look at Operation Mockingbird, same thing, disinformation, censoring certain information or whatnot. But
Yeah.
it takes independent people, not networks, people on the ground, boots on the ground, independent bloggers, vloggers, independent radio operation, all that shit, independent TV, and are the ones that are really carrying this.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, there's a guy, he ran a cable access network, really getting down to the root, man, like really ranting about everything.
Yeah.
And most of it was he was speaking facts here. And this was in the 1990s, man. Back then, where you can have a cable access show, and whatnot,
Yeah. And it was very difficult to verify information back then because the internet as it exists today did not exist. I mean, it was still very much in its infancy.
It was only just barely growing. It took 30 plus years for it to really go out there. But
yeah,
you had cable access shows, like this guy, talking about.
Yeah, isn't that where Jones actually started? Was a local cable access, and then he got into radio. And then he formed InfoWars in like '97.
He started InfoWars in the late '90s, yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, but like he first got on air in like '95 or something like that.
95, 96 in Texas, and he went from different areas, but he made it where it is now today. But the thing is, he's not what he used to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's always, especially in his later years, has been rather eccentric, really big into satire. And there's been a lot of problems, with him butting heads with other hosts, even people who he works with, and even people that work directly for him. There's been several times I've been watching his show and he'd go off on his crew because they didn't pull up the right thing. Like he'd go on a tangent. Like, dude.
Takari Jackson, Joe Biggs, Leanne McAdoo, Millie Weaver. Now, Leanne McAdoo was the first one to actually leave. She's the first one. Yeah. I really liked her. Takari Jackson left in 2016. Joe Biggs left same a year later.
And some left on good terms and some on not so good terms.
The Health Ranger. The Health Ranger.
And I'm not trying to say anything bad against Jones. Everybody has their faults. Everybody has their quirks. We're all human beings. We're all imperfect. We're all deserving of God's wrath. Even if we have his mercy and his forgiveness, we are still deserving of damnation. We're imperfect human beings. We have our faults. But one thing I will always credit Jones for, and this is why I share his feed, is because one, he makes it a point of being spot on with his information. If he says something, he has thoroughly researched it and he can show you the evidence. and does show you the evidence. And if he makes a prediction, he's usually spot on with his analysis because of his in-depth research and dedication and being as thorough and accurate as he possibly can. I give him credit for that, and that's why I am a supporter of his broadcast and why I share his feeds, because people need to be able to get the information. And two, he has the ear of the president. So if we can, through him, whether by sharing Alex Jones stuff or speaking out ourselves, get in the ear of the president, who sometimes seems to listen to the American people, especially people like Jones. If the president is willing to listen, then we, the people, need to speak. And whether that's sharing links from Alex Jones's shit or sharing our shit or getting on your own podcast and bringing up issues that you think the president needs to hear, yeah, put that shit out there. So, yeah, that's what I do. That's why I would share those feeds. Because if I see something relevant or something that I think needs to get, that the people need to hear or the president needs to hear, if Alex Jones ain't saying it, I'm saying it. And that's one thing that really sets us apart.
Exactly.
Is our ability to talk about the things that people like Jones or Candace Owens or Joe Rogan or whoever may not necessarily get to, or maybe present an alternate perspective to something, not necessarily an opposing view, but an ulterior perspective, an ulterior motive, an ulterior outcome to any given situation that some people might not have thought about initially, and may have thought about after the broadcast and go, oh shit, maybe I should have said that. That's where you have people like us who can pick up the ball and say, okay, what about this angle? Where they may have thought about it after the show on their podcast, but we go, okay, Alex Jones or Candace Owens talked about this, and they presented this angle and that angle. Well, what about this over here? What about that over there? Okay, that's where TWWRN comes in. We're the ones who are digging in the couch cushions, looking for the things that generally slip between the cracks, that deserve their moment to shine, so to speak.
It's one thing after another. I mean, the thing is, I want facts. I want straight up legit information. No.
Exactly.
And
you want to present that information too. You want to present, if you're going to open your mouth to something and say that the sky is blue and all the trees are green and I'm as full as a baked potato, you better be able to prove that the leaves are green and that you're as full as a baked potato.
We've lost a few people over the years, and one of them was Andrew Breitbart.
Yeah.
He started Breitbart News. I mean, there's an app, Breitbart, been around for years.
Yeah.
And I follow Breitbart. I follow One American News and Newsmax, and because these are independent news outlets. Okay, One American News started out as a small website. It then became a network.
Yeah.
Newsmax been around for a long time, And I was asked a couple times by email 10 years ago. I would watch RT America, because how can you trust news here in America?
Absolutely.
I would kind of get elsewhere. Plus, I would watch France 24/7. Because Rosie O'Donnell said years ago on The View, she said, get your news outside the United States, because here, unbearable. You can't get shit. they won't give a damn thing.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at Sky News Australia, on the nose, man.
Well, I mean, they're probably getting suppressed by now as well with all the new EU legislation. And just for the record, currently the store is not available in the EU. They have different laws and whatnot that we have to be compliant with. And I can activate that and make the store available in the EU and European countries. But I want to make sure that I am familiar with the laws and the bylaws of selling and distributing in the UK and all EU countries before I jump into that. So rest assured, the store will become available probably within the next week or so. I just want to make sure that I have an understanding of the laws and the bylaws of the European Union in regards to international sales and whatnot. Okay, because if you don't understand something, that's where they're going to get you. And I'm not going to get caught with my pants down. I want to make sure everybody has access to the product, but I'm not going to fuck myself in the ass by jumping the gun. Okay, I'm not going to jump off the high dive before I make sure there's water in the pool. So do bear with us. The store is available everywhere else: United States, Asia, Russia, South American countries, whatever. It's just not available presently in the EU. But that's just a temporary setback until I make sure that I've got my ducks in a row. So do bear with us there.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Reverend.
I would say take your time. Oh, I mean, if you look at this here, Turning Point USA has gone the way of Project Veritas. They went after.
Don't give that air, bro. Don't mind me, man. I was just unplugging that heater.
They went after the head guy.
Huh?
Years ago, O'Keefe, what was his name? Jed O'Keefe, who founded Project Veritas over 15 years ago. Well, a long time ago. Their first case was Acorn.
Yeah.
If you look it up, Acorn. And they exposed that Acorn hires ex-cons, especially pedophiles.
Yeah.
And it was one of their biggest stories, they did.
Yeah, that's why I don't use Acorn. I'm not sure if things have changed since then, but like I'd seen Acorn's advertisements, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind getting into stock trading and all that fun shit. But I want to make sure that if I do jump on something, that it's credible. And I've heard some people who make investments with certain companies, and then all of a sudden their bank account gets cleaned out and whatnot because they linked their account to something that they didn't fully research and understand.
What really happened is that Project Veritas, how they do their investigation is remarkable. They did a story on Pfizer. And they talked to a executive in a restaurant, and he went nuts.
I remember that.
And after that, the whole board went after him. And what it was about the money.
Yeah.
Why
you heard somebody's they're going to come after you.
Why is one guy guarding all this money? Well, investors and shareholders put money on this because of how he works. He's independent. He was raided by the FBI. And he's never lost a case.
Yeah.
And when he was fired by his own company, he created the O'Keefe Media Group. And he sued his own company that he created because he wanted to investigate Veritas. And there's a lot of people that was about the money.
Yeah.
They wanted to tear it apart piece by piece financially.
Yeah, and that's what gets me about this whole damn thing. You know, what does Conspiracy Anon get out of this? What is it going to benefit him to make himself anonymous and us look bad by having him on the show and doing what he did? Now, I'm not trying to pick on the guy.
No.
But this is a call to arms to sit there and say, hey, fly straight. You know, if we talked about in the past how we're not the tip of the spear, we're the hand that guides the spear, holding other people's feet to the fire. And, you know, I'm not going to just sit there and say, oh, I'm going to hold Trump's feet to the fire, or that I'm going to hold Alex Jones's feet to the fire. No. I'll hold my own damn feet to the fire. I'll hold our own organization's feet to the fire. If there's somebody who is participating with us and they get off the beaten path and they're doing something weird that fucks up their own shit and prospectively ours, and by way of disinformation and whatnot, then, you know, we got to smack their hand and go, hey, what are you doing? Come correct. And that's not me trying to pick on Conspiracy Anon. He's a good friend. I love him to death. But I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't say, hey, stop doing that. Don't do that shit. You're fucking up. Don't do that.
You're
hurting yourself. You're hurting us. Don't do it. You're better than that.
When he mentioned about the SE files, and like I looked everywhere.
Yeah.
Even so 4chan, you know. So I'm thinking, okay, so I looked all week after that broadcast we had, and I couldn't find anything. I looked, I'm like, so I did a video. I gave my response.
Yeah, and that was after you and I had that conversation where I called you after I got done talking to him. And I'll say it.
And I gave every response that I held.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I want information that is credible. You know, I'm tired of this crap. You know, look, I'm like everybody else. I want straight up evidence, facts, you know, all that shit, you know, where it is credible, that can be, you know, looked at, but also find the source too.
Yeah. And that's a big thing with Anonymous. You know, they make sure to get their information out there. It's like, okay, we're going to release these documents. Okay, we've released these documents because the government didn't release the documents. Here's the documents. Here's what we have. Here's where to find it. That's how Anonymous has always worked. It's like, okay, if you don't do it, do this. We're going to do this. Okay, you didn't do this, so we did it. Here's what we did. Here's where to find it. You know, even if they just did it in a fucking YouTube video and said, okay, so-and-so was supposed to release this document. They didn't. We released the document. The link is in the description of the bio, or they just copy and paste the text in the bio itself or in the comment section. Okay, they didn't beat around the bush. They didn't get subjective. There was no such thing as subjective banter in the Anonymous collective.
Exactly.
You know, even if they were wrong about something, they stuck to their guns and said, okay, this is what we got. This is we're releasing it. Do with it what you will. They make no apologies about anything. And that's why I respect Anonymous. And that's why I've always respected Jones and Candace Owens and Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan and others. Because they have made it a point to be unapologetically straightforward. And with this disinformation thing that's happening now with Conspiracy Anonymous with the past 2 weeks, and people like Alex Jones calling out Candace Owens, we now have to ask this question, and I encourage everybody to participate in the comments. We got quite a few people tuning in right now. Please engage in the comments. You are as much a part of this conversation as we are. Share your thoughts and opinions or any information you might have as to why this might be happening. The question I'm posing right now, feel free to throw in your answers.
I also want
what's with this disinformation? Why is this happening?
I also want to throw in that today's my birthday.
Happy birthday. I did see that. I wasn't going to say anything online because I didn't want to put your personal business on blast. But happy birthday, Revan.
50 today. Turned 50.
Oh, wow. Wow. But hey, happy birthday, man.
To the big 5-0, man.
The
door to my second half of my life is just open today, man.
Wow. You're going to live another 100 years, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope so.
Hey, this man ain't done with the fight. He's still got a lot of fight in him. I think he may be 50, but I think he feels a lot younger than I do most days. This man's a beast.
Can you imagine us doing this in our 90s, man?
Dude, I'll go to the day I die. Whether I kill over an old man dead in my bed or whether they put a bullet in me, I will go until the day I die. If there is corruption and there is a new world order, you bet your ass I'm going to be talking. So until I'm dead or Christ returns, I'm going to be the guard on the wall calling out a threat when I see it.
I got a text from her sister. Happy birthday.
Seriously, bro. Happy birthday, man. What are your plans for today?
I don't know, man. I was gonna go somewhere today. Because I just paid off my my Xfinity bill yesterday. And I was gonna go and pay off my cell phone bill today. Just hoping that they're open today. So
they probably won't be because it's a holiday. But if you do have a high electricity or a high bill with Xfinity, you can call them up and renegotiate your contract and get a new deal. Just
I'm also my dad. The other day, I up the bill. Fuck.
Yeah, they'll up the bill at least once a year, and then you call them up and they'll put you on a new plan and give you all kinds of discounts and whatnot because they don't want to lose you as a customer, but they'll try to pull that shit. So you're going to get hit with at least one bill that's super high a month. My internet bill this past month was $86.
That ain't bad, but the thing is, I ordered a TV internet combo.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what service you have. After a year, they're going to up your shit. They're notorious.
I was paying nearly $300 a month on that alone.
Yeah, they will up your shit at the end of the year. They'll give you a year on a good fucking deal, and then they'll up your shit, and then you got to call them up and get a new deal made.
So
that's how it works.
Internet, we went with T-Mobile Internet, which is like hella cheaper, like
yeah, but T-Mobile, unless they got more towers and are integrated in more towers, their service fucking sucked. At least it did back in the early days, back in like 06, 07.
I mean, the internet, home internet is like $50 a month.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to talk about in regards to Conspiracy Anon. His shit kept cutting out. He says he's got all this good shit. Why is his shit cutting out? Like, what the hell's going on?
I always think about that. Of like we're here listening to the guy, and all of a sudden he either freezes or he disconnects. I'm thinking like maybe bad connection. I mean, if you think about back in the day before we all took a hiatus and shit, that Zero, he was using a Wi-Fi repeater.
Yeah, and he was having quite a few problems as well. And Connor, he has some problems too, time and time again. He'll get those blind spots in his house, but he's not well off. He's not using like high-end equipment. He doesn't have a studio like I do. He doesn't make the investments like what you do. He's not in a position to do that. Conspiracy Anon, on the other hand, he said on air, he has these things that he uses. But if you're using those things, why are you cutting out like that? Especially during a critical moment in the conversation.
Here's what I use. In a laptop.
Yeah. I mean, I got my little studio. I got a spare bedroom that I turned into a studio. I got the backdrop right here. I've got the stationary camera set up behind the laptop. I got my laptop right here.
Oh, yeah.
I got the mics and the PA system also up here. I got quite a nice little studio going. I even have a guest couch with another microphone system right here to my left, to where I can actually have guests in studio, and I got a nice backdrop set up with the Anon American and Don't Tread on Me flags in the backdrop. So I got a nice little backdrop going here. I got the green screen to my right if I want to do something with green screen effect. I mean, it's small, but it's effective. It gets the job done. Okay, and this is a lot of pocket for me, and and you make your investments. Connor does the best he can, and I know Conspiracy Anon. He's had some struggles in the past, and now he's just kind of getting his bearings back together a little bit. But when you say you have this stuff at your disposal, you have these tools and these resources.
When we started,
point of the conversation, it kind of makes people go, "What?"
Oh yeah. When I started with a BlackBerry Curve 9300 smartphone. I used that thing for almost 2 years alone. I use it. I try to find ways to do this, and I mean, we started small, man. We very, very small until we got to where we are now, man. Because over time, shit. I mean, fuck. You got to think about how to do it, where to do it, And I even touched topics that got me almost kicked off here,
Oh yeah.
Like for example, 3 years ago, 2022, until August of that year, I was sharing things that are like, whoa. And one of them was, it was an anchor talking to a reporter on the very day of 9/11.
Yeah.
I shared that. Over 20 plus years old footage, all of a sudden YouTube removed it.
Yeah. And that's why we're demonetized. Because we were monetized, and I wasn't making a fortune on it. I think the most I made was like $300. on that, and that just went towards getting equipment, getting a decent computer, getting a decent camera, because we weren't going live. We weren't doing live streams. I was sitting there with a webcam recording on my computer with a little Magix program, and we'd have everything pre-recorded on the Magix. I'd run it through there, edit it down, and put the intro and all the bells and whistles and shit, and then repost it to YouTube. And then we got demonetized, and I just kept going. But check this out. Like, I'm gonna enter the studio on my phone right now. I'll show you. What? How did? Hello. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. You can see the studio here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's in the back is my room.
Yeah.
Nothing special. It ain't pretty, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I was just sitting on my buddy's couch with the camera sitting in front of me. And then it evolved. Uh-oh.
Where's it at? This here is very phone.
Oh, wow. That's old school.
And I got this in 2010, late 2010, early 2011. Long fucking time ago. And the one thing I love about YouTube during that time is that they had this program where you could create an animation. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And one day I wanted to do an animation because they had some pretty good stuff. Okay, what happened? What happened? Gone.
Damn.
And I mean, it was useful. It was free to use and whatnot. I mean, you could create any animated whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was fun, like, dude, but so
yeah. I mean, back in the day, I had this little I don't even know what it was. It was this little portable video camera. It was like yay big, about that thick. I want to say Logitech, but that's not right. It's just this little silver video camera, little flip with a little flip out screen, and that's what I used. And then I upgraded to a Logitech webcam, or I was just using my cell phone. But even when I was living on my buddy's couch, or when I was living at my sister's, and I've talked about this a few times, I still moved forward. I still made it happen. Even though I didn't have hardly anything to my name, I utilized what I had and I made it work. So I know Conspiracy Anon, as resourceful as he is, can do it. Please, my friend, don't spout bullshit.
Exactly.
Because
I
you're
mean,
not just hurting us. In fact, you're not hurting us. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting the anonymous collective that you are ascribing to represent. Because we put it out there, the views and expressions of you are not necessarily the views and expressions of the other hosts or TWPRN or as an organization. Okay, I've had to add that disclaimer, but it's always kind of just been an unspoken understanding in broadcast. The views and the expressions of the guests or the co-hosts are not necessarily the views and expressions of the organization. Okay, so you only hurt yourself, brother.
yeah, I mean, the
You
thing
only hurt
is,
the anonymous collective, and you said that yourself. You got booted off of everything except for like one thing. You said
on that, I think that's more of an excuse.
yeah, but the question is why? Like, what is if this is deliberate and this is an excuse?
Why?
Why?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah,
Why come on here? Why come on here and bullshit us?
yeah. Especially considering you're only hurting yourself and the anonymous collective. Now, if your goal is to hurt the anonymous collective, you did a good job, buddy.
Exactly.
Okay, because if you're going to come on here as a representative of the anonymous collective and you're going to make an ass out of yourself, you just hurt the anonymous collective, and that's probably why they shut you out of everything. Not because you told on yourself or told on them about stuff that was in the works, because you didn't tell anything, but you damaged the credibility. You damaged the credibility of the collective.
Honestly, I don't think he knew, because if he did,
He wouldn't have said.
for example, if we knew what was in the works, we would have waited.
Yeah, because whatever they're working on, they'll release when they're ready. You don't take the cake out of the oven until it's done baking.
Exactly. I mean,
you can say, "Hey, I got a cake in the oven," but you're not going to take the cake out of the oven and just show it to everybody when it's still a pile of goop. Yeah. Okay, you're going to wait until the cake is done baking.
You have, or let's put it this way: you don't show the turkey until it's not pink. It has to be nice and whatever.
Yeah, you don't serve the turkey until it's cooked.
So that's what I mean. If he did that, the thing is, I mean, you pretty much unhinge mouth, insert foot to the kneecap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he only hurt himself in that regard, and
I don't think
he used our platform to do it, but again, that's on him, not us.
Honestly, I don't think he hurt Anonymous Collective. I think he pretty much hurt himself.
He did, but he chose to come on as a representative of the Anonymous Collective and speak for the Anonymous Collective, which you don't do.
But
you don't speak for the Anonymous Collective. You don't put out there what they're doing behind the scenes. You don't bite the hand that feeds. And I know he's had contentions with Anonymous in the past. Some things I would agree with him on. Some things I would agree with Anonymous on. But at the end of the day, he's always been a good friend. I've got nothing against him as a friend. But, as his friend, I got to call him out and go, look, dude, what you did was not cool. You got to fly straight. Not only for us, but for yourself and for the organizations of which you represent, in this case, Anonymous. And I kind of wonder if maybe he's not doing that because we've had issues in the past with Conspiracy Anon, and it was just small things, mostly related to Jones. Conspiracy Anon said that he coined the phrase fear porn. And, Alex Jones kind of made that a staple of his for a while there, and still to this day quotes it says fear porn from time to time. Okay, you may have quoted even if you did coin a phrase,
It's just a phrase.
It's just a phrase. It's for everybody to use. You don't need to get butthurt about it over Jones using it. Jones quotes me all the damn time. I'll say something on a podcast or on a video that I'll post to X, a short little 3-minute video on X, pointing something out, and then he'll come back a few days later sometimes. I've counted like several times where he's quoted. I can't even tell you how many times it's happened because it happens so often. Like I'll say something and then he'll come back either the next day or a week later or whenever, and he'll say the same exact thing, often word for word. So I know he pays attention to us and listens to the broadcast and takes bullet points that he thinks are good ideas. But I'm not going to get upset about Jones about it. Why? Because he's got a big platform. And if I said something of relevance that he thinks is worth sharing and an idea that is worth getting out there, by all means. Okay, I'm not going to get butthurt about it and go, I said that first, that's mine. Why are you going to do my shit, Jones? You big meanie. No. By all means, Jones. Take it, run with it.
Yeah.
We're all on the same team. We're fighting the same globalist here. Okay, if I have a good idea and you like it, run with it, bro. And vice versa. If I see something that you said and I like it or have something that I can expound on it about, great. That's what I'm going to do. And if you want to reiterate that point later, great.
It's just one thing after another. I mean,
Zero, we are seeing your comments. It's not hope porn, it's fear porn, but it hasn't caught on yet. Said he heard about hope porn. Yeah, maybe we do need hope porn. That's why we do that Friday dessert podcast, to give a little bit of levity. But again, like getting back on point, Conspiracy Anon got upset about that, saying, "Oh, you stole my fear porn thing." So what? Okay, even if you were the one who coined the phrase,
it doesn't belong.
You just coined the phrase. Okay, you don't own a copyright. You didn't go down to the patent office and go, "I have an idea. I am copyrighting the term fear porn. I want a quarter every time somebody says it." Okay, you didn't do that.
One of the dumbest things ever is that Gene Simmons of Kiss trademarked orange.
That's so dumb.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. And, like another thing, I think it was Conspiracy Anon, but it might have been somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was Conspiracy Anon. Came to me when I was living with Lucid. And he said, Alex Jones called you out on his show. Really? I didn't hear every segment of the show because I had to go to work, but could you send me the files?
It.
Huh?
I actually watched it, but the thing is, never happened. Never mentioned.
Well, like name. he couldn't quote it. And again, I cannot remember if it was Conspiracy Anon or somebody else, but somebody quoted and said, Alex Jones was talking shit about you on his show, and he was gonna. I'm like, well, what did he say? He said he mentioned TWRN, he mentioned you, and said that he was going to get to it after he came back from commercial break, but never said anything. I'm like, okay, could you send me the link? Because I obviously didn't see this. A week later, I never got nothing back, and I'm like, hey, what about that link you were going to send me of Alex Jones you said was talking shit? Oh, I couldn't find it. What? So then you go and fucking watch like the entire past week, and you're like, I couldn't find nothing. So you're watching
I watched like
80 hours worth of shit, and you couldn't find nothing.
I couldn't find a fucking thing. I couldn't find a goddamn
and again,
thing.
I cannot remember if it was Conspiracy Anon or someone else. I'm not going to say who the someone else is because they're not involved with TWRN. They're just kind of a friend.
I was pissed. I looked, I watched the whole time, maybe 2 weeks. Not a goddamn thing. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, was it Conspiracy Anon that said that? I wanted to say it was, but I'm not 100%.
It was somebody, and I looked, I watched like for hours and hours and hours. Not a goddamn thing. Just like last fucking week. I looked on Google, Go. I looked on everywhere, even in ground news. Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, like Jones has never talked shit on us. And
All,
you know, I
also
got a little
about the anonymous and the thing. I look for the Epstein file thing information he gave us allegedly. I looked on Google, Go, 4chan, even ground news, because ground news is like a place where you get an article and it's divided in left, right, center, and how much is left, right, or center. I looked everywhere all week. Not a fucking thing. He was blowing smoke out of his ass.
Exactly. And there was another instance where somebody close to me had told me that a FEMA camp had just opened up in the local area in California when I was still living out there. And I went online and I had talked about what I had heard. And this was in the early days of my broadcasting. And, you know, I got a lot of flack. It's like, there's no FEMA camp. There's no FEMA camp. This is unverified. And I had to post a retraction. And I go, look, this is just what I heard. Unverified. I can't find nothing about it. You obviously can't find nothing about it. But if there is something, just do keep a lookout. This is what I heard. Do keep a lookout.
Somebody is blowing smoke up out of their ass, man. You know, like,
yeah.
If you're gonna say something, folks.
Zero said, if anything, I've seen Alex Jones laugh about Rainbow Snatch and Mr. Giggles. I've never seen that. He's probably seen it and never really addressed it on camera. And if he has addressed it on camera, I've never seen it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering who was playing Rainbow Snatch, it was Millie Weaver.
Yeah, I know who Millie Weaver is.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Calm down, big boy.
Oh, down, boy, down.
Yeah, we don't need to bring you on the Friday Dessert to have a freaking 3-way jack-off session with you, me, and Aaron.
I win.
Yeah. He'd just be sitting there skiing. Like, yeah, I'm playing Game Boy.
Whee!
Yeah, we need more levity. That's why we do the Friday Dessert, which airs at 11 a.m. on Fridays.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's times that I mentioned about spay and neutering a neocon or rhino, a liberal, and
it's just that, and you and I have had conversations.
And TinMan and I, we even talk about it. It's only a satire, you know, and all it is, no more, no less. It's a satire, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, spay and neuter your animals. So you know, kind of population, you know.
Help control the pet population, as Bob Barker would always say back in the day.
But if you're a Muslim and you're the goat, use a condom.
That. Anyway, I'm not doing this to pick on Conspiracy Anon or even Candace Owens.
No. We're not here.
I just want to know why this is going on.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Why is there so much disinformation? And I can understand with Candace Owens. She's very passionate about wanting to ascertain the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to fault her for that. I can't fault her for that.
No.
If something happened to a friend of mine, somebody that I was close to, I'd be pissed. I'd probably be caught up in my feelings too. And I'd be exploring and discussing every fucking possible angle of the situation that I could until I ascertained the truth.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault Candace Owens for that.
No.
And I don't know that Jones should either. You know, if she is wrong about something, definitely go, okay, I was wrong about this. I just want to know the truth and move on.
Sometimes
You definitely don't want to double down because then you hurt your own credibility. Turning Point USA is dead. All right,
it's been dead.
It's a dead horse. When Charlie Kirk died, regardless of when his wife took over, it was dead from there. When she took over and went pro-Israel after Charlie had made all those statements against Israel and was going against Israel, okay, that sealed their fate. And you can talk about that, but if there is something that is amiss, and maybe if you honestly believed it, but it turned out to be false. I've done it myself. We all get caught up in our feelings. We all get upset or scared or this or that, and we may come out with something that may have been wrong information. It happens from time to time, and I'm not going to fault Candace for that, especially when she is fighting so hard to expose the globalists, expose the Israeli connection, and wants to ascertain the truth. And she's going headfirst into that, and I commend her. And if she is wrong on something, I hope at some point, she will come forward and be like, look, I was caught up in my feelings. I was misunderstood on this point or that point, but I'm straight about it.
Erica Kirk.
I'll own my shirt.
Erica Kirk wasn't supposed to be CEO.
Yeah, and Candace does talk a lot about that. And Zero asked a question. I will repeat my question that I have for a while now. How does being nearly eradicated from the planet grant you immunity from any bad thing said against you for the rest of existence? Are you talking about Israel? Is that who you're talking about, Zero? Who are you talking about, Zero? Zero. Who are you talking about, buddy? I think he's talking about something. I think he's talking about him. He's talking about
when
had to get it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zero. But
because
I still consider Candace.
When he died, there's already a CEO plan.
Yeah. Who was supposed to be his successor?
Trying to think, but he was pushed out by her. But the thing is, she was placed. We all know who. That the Ciabatta Jews put her in.
Yeah. And, that's all well and fine. And that's what's damned Turning Point USA. Again, Turning Point USA would have essentially died with Charlie Kirk because he was Turning Point USA. And
when he died, it died.
Yeah. And, now that Erica has taken over and gone pro-Israel and whatnot, which is fine. There are probably going to be some people who would still support Turning Point USA regardless. But, for the most part, that really has turned off a vast majority of the audience, especially in today's
culture. What is she? Is she a Jesuit? Is she a Zionist? Is she a Ciabatta?
Well, I mean, I don't know, and I don't really give a damn, to be honest with you. I mean, she could just be a Zionist Christian. A Christian Zionist like Angel Studios. They're coming out with an anti-Hitler thing. You've got all this stuff coming out about Adolf Hitler's speeches being AI translated and talking about all these things that people didn't know about, suggesting that, maybe America was on the wrong side of the war and, what was really going on in contrast to what we were told. I'm not saying one way or the other, but you do have this issue that is prevalent in society. And now Angel Studios has come out with a movie called Hell Hitler. Yeah. At least that was what I thought it was called. It was about this kid who, with a buddy of his in a typewriter, was the red letter thing. It's a movie about the red letter. The red letters. Exposing Nazi propaganda and all that. Angel Studios, that's their latest project. It's an anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi thing in light of what's going on with the Hitler translations and everything else that's happening. Yeah. And everybody turning on the Jews. For the most part, I've enjoyed their work. I can't say that I would necessarily be for or against this piece, but it is what it is. I thought it was just simply worth mentioning. But, where Erica Kirk is concerned, the foundation of Turning Point USA rises or falls on Charlie Kirk. And with Charlie Kirk's dead, that was pretty much it for Turning Point USA, just like it would be it for InfoWars and the Alex Jones Network if something were to ever happen to Jones. God forbid anything bad happen to anybody, but I'm just acknowledging the reality.
I think if he goes, his son might take over.
His son might, but it still wouldn't be the same, and he'd probably lose. The organization will probably lose a lot of its support and a lot of its following. Just like, it would take a hit, just like Turning Point USA is taking a huge hit.
Unless somebody who's been there along with him for years step in and say, look, we got to keep it going. And
got to stoke the flames. And there is a possibility that could happen. I don't know that they have anybody working for them as of yet that could really hold a candle to Jones, but I digress. But the point, I want to get back to the point about Candace Owens. I'm not trying to pick on her. I understand why she's doing what she's doing and trying to ascertain the truth about Charlie Kirk. And, I understand being emotional about your friend being killed. I understand where she's coming from and why she's maybe got some blinders on. And it's just like, I don't care about anything else. I just want to know the truth, and whatever comes out, comes out. And I'll deal with everything when the dust settles. And I'm not trying to demonize her for that. Love Candace to death. I would love to have her on the podcast, or maybe even being a guest on hers, and to discuss this, not to debate her, but, just kind of get a feel for where she's coming from on this, especially where Jones has been kind of a major detractor of hers. But where Conspiracy Anon came in, unlike Candace, who has a reason for what she's doing, and is just who is in her feelings, trying to ascertain the truth because her friend was murdered, which is completely understandable. And I'm sorry if I don't articulate that properly, Candace. I'm not trying to shame you here. But in contrast, what I'm trying to say is Candace has motive for what she's doing. She's trying to ascertain the truth of her friend's murder. Conspiracy Anon, bro, you didn't have any reason to blow smoke up our ass. Okay, you've been a good friend. You've been a good member of TWRN, posting videos in the past. Your videos in the past have been spot on. They've been great. No qualms whatsoever. I will always be a huge fan and supporter of your work that you have done. But the past 2 weeks, I don't know what the fuck that was, bro, but never again, bro. You're better than that. Don't do shit like that. You're hurting yourself. You're damaging.
It's more of an embarrassment.
And you just made us look like asses. And forced me to do a shit ton of damage control where I otherwise shouldn't have had to. It should not have happened.
Yeah.
You're better than that, my friend. And I say this as a friend, lovingly, not trying to pick on you, not trying to demean you, but dude, if you're fucking up, you're fucking up. And as a friend, I got to call you out. Do better. Be better. You are better. Don't be a bad little monkey.
We all got called out on that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was honestly, it was uncalled for. Like, you know, we've been doing this for a long
For
time.
the better part of 15 years, 16, 17 years now. I started in what, 09?
I started in 2011.
Yeah, I started in like 09, 010, and it's now 2026. So better part of 16, 17 years, we've been at this off and on, despite any given hiatus because of any personal life stuff that was going on. But even at that, you still kept going. You never stopped.
No. I kept going because it had to be done. I mean,
yeah, and you believed in the message. And that's what it really comes down to is we got to be true to the message. The message has to be truth. And it has to be from a position of love and understanding and fighting for our fellow man. And as such, we can't be caught up in disinformation. This is bigger than any petty bullshit or any political ideals. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat or Independent or Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster or what have you. Okay? This is a battle against good and evil here. And we have to rail against that. And if we say we are in that battle and we are fighting against evil, we got to be true. Okay? The biggest
we got to be true here and here.
And here. And with the big man upstairs. The big man be watching. Now, I'm as deserving as condemnation as anybody else. I am only saved by grace. I will only be saved by the grace of God and repentant of my sins. But, you know, I'm as much deserving as of hellfire as the next man, but I'm trying to do my part in combat what I see as evil. I don't play into the left-right paradigm. I just try to stick to the facts. And if I see something on the horizon and I see something bad, as the guard on the watchtower, I've got to call it out. I've got to sound the alarm. And that's all I can do. But if I'm going to sound the alarm, my information has got to be true. If there's a tornado coming, I got to sound the alarm. But if I sound the alarm and there's no tornado coming, I'm going to get my ass chewed out, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's got to be. We got to be factual.
It's the equivalent of someone who's a third party that shares only tidbits. Not all. Tidbits. Okay, where get the image from? Oh, get over here. Okay, well, go here. Over here. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, if I, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
If we look and over here, can't find shit. We'll go over here. Oh, can't find shit. Can't find shit. Like, dude, I sat here and listened. And as I'm listening, I asked a question. Where do we look? Right? I asked where we look.
We all did.
I typed up Google on Google. Go. Wikipedia. I even looked on 4chan. I even looked on like anywhere that I can. DOJ releases Epstein files.
Yeah.
And I'm just like.
Yeah, it was
nothing burgers. I did all that just to get bullshitted. Now, I mentioned this on my video the other day.
Yeah.
If Anonymous did, I mean, like, actually did that, got everything and released it all at once,
they'd want people to know where it was, where to find it.
That would have been the biggest fucking leak since Edward Snowden.
It would have been.
And I tell you what, that was straight up. If Anonymous did all that, I mean, like, did all that, it would bring down half of the House of Cards.
It would.
Not all.
And if Anonymous managed to pull that off, I would have been impressed. And I was hoping that he had something. I hoped to God he did. But all we got was deflection. We got, what, an hour or so of deflection. And why? Why do you want to come onto the podcast just deflect? Oh, go look it up on Google. Since when has Anonymous ever said, go look it up on Google? They said, so-and-so didn't do this, so we released this thing. Or we did this thing. You can find the information at the link in this bio, or it's all posted in the bio of this video.
Yeah.
They never beat around the bush. They never said, oh, go look over here. They always posted it directly and provided you. It's like, it's over here. This is what we did. It's over here. Go look.
Anonymous Collective would provide you the link or spot where it's at.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know.
So,
but again, I looked everywhere. I looked 4chan, Wikipedia, all these shit, you know, like, dude. And the thing is, like, dude, if you have something, okay,
yeah, if you have something, show it. If you don't come on here saying that you have something when you don't.
Just to embarrass yourself, man.
Yeah, and he's better than that. I mean, you look back at his original podcasts. He was spot on, you know, even if he wasn't presenting some new piece of evidence or something, or he at least had a good message, a good motivational speech or something. You know, he had something. He was credible. He was good.
Yeah.
And that's what I was hoping to get when I invited him to be a part of the roundtable. And we didn't get that. I don't know what the fuck we got, or why.
Yeah.
But I want to know why. And as his friend, I want better. I want to see better from him. Okay, I can understand, you know, if you have to take a step back, you know, for personal reasons or whatever. You know, I'm not going to begrudge somebody of that.
No.
But
take a step back, reflect, but also, if you do come back, make sure you have legit, straight up, fact forward, info. No bullshit.
Yeah, don't play the whole dazzle me with brilliance or baffle me with bullshit thing, because that's not what we're about.
I am 50. I just turned 50 today.
Happy birthday.
And I am too old for that shit.
We all are. And the general audience who pays attention to this wants factual information. You know, isn't that one of the biggest caveats that people have with Trump? That
they want
redacted so much information on the Epstein files. They want the release. They want they want adequate information. They don't want him to lie. They want the truth. They want the information released. They don't want dazzle me with brilliance or baffle me with bullshit. They want promises kept. They want truth. They want transparency. They want these files released. They want what was promised to them.
The media.
Yeah, don't promise me a turkey and then give me a fucking ham sandwich.
The media have been in propaganda and disinformation on whose behalf?
Yeah.
Plus the Jews.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Jews own the media, but I digress. But, you know, we're kind of the alternative media. I mean, You got Alex Jones, you got Joe Rogan, you got Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, and others. And, Turning Point USA has kind of lost.
He didn't do the thing.
What thing?
Jews.
I don't need to do it every fucking time I do it.
I said it.
I know you said it. You just want me to do it again. Yeah. You just want me to do it again. That's all it is. You just want me to do it again. Yeah. Jews. Okay, I'll give you the Jews. We only do it once in the podcast, but you know what? I'll do it again just for you. Happy birthday, motherfucker. Feel better now, birthday boy?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm good, man.
All right. So, would it be Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, or us, or Joe Rogan, or anybody? We're the counterbalance to the mainstream media and the disinformation. Ergo, we need to be spot on. And if somebody's going to come on to the Roundtable or TinMan TV and spout a bunch of bullshit, we're not The View, okay? Take that shit to The View, okay? Take that shit to Whoopi Goldberg, because I ain't about it, bro. I mean, I love you to death. I've seen you at your best, Conspiracy Anonymous. I have seen you at your best, and you have been a good friend over the years, and I have got no qualms with you on a personal level. But when it comes to this, you're better than that. I've seen better from you. I know you're better than that. I don't know what the fuck that was about or why, but you're better than that.
I think.
Be better.
I think it kind of like because we had Connor on. I think just the look on his face is like,
yeah,
and like I don't know if it's disgust.
So was it he got caught with his pants down, or is he just like, okay, I'm going to come on and spew disinformation? Like it's so convoluted. None of it made sense.
I could tell that all three of us were kind of like shaking our heads, like what the fuck, man.
Yeah.
Especially as Connor, man. Like, dude, like.
Yeah, Connor on that first broadcast, he tried to carry him a bit, but I think even then Connor was just kind of like, I got to take a step back from this.
Yeah.
And I love Conspiracy Anon to death. But I want to know where all this disinformation and the push for disinformation is coming from and why everybody is getting hit with disinformation. We're getting hit with people trying to feed us disinformation.
Compromised.
Yeah, like who compromised you? What's going on? Why are you feeding us disinformation? Who and why is feeding Candace Owens any disinformation? And why is it becoming so prevalent? And I'm not attacking Candace Owens. I understand she's fighting to ascertain the truth of her friend, and you're gonna wind up with, when you just throw everything out, it's like, okay, this is everything I've got. There's probably gonna be some bullshit in there, so I'm not gonna fault her on that. I cannot fault her on that. I haven't really followed the scandal that between her and Jones and the whole thing with her trying to expose what's going on with Charlie Kirk and whatnot. But, I understand if she goes, okay, I'm investigating the murder of my friend. Here, I'm going to give everything I have to my audience. This is everything I have, the good, bad, the ugly. I don't necessarily think she should be faulted for that. Now, if she's presenting that as truth and it's not truth, if she believed it was truth initially, but found out it wasn't,
if she is,
you take it with a grain of salt and be like, okay.
If she is with it, I'll be honest here.
Yeah.
If she is investigating death of Charlie Kirk, she needs to tread lightly.
Well, I mean, even if she throws out everything, even if she goes out and says, Here's everything I have.
She needs to tread lightly because if you remember the JFK assassination, the late great Dorothy Kilgallen,
Yeah.
she investigated Kennedy's assassination for 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
She was found dead in her home in '65 with her glasses on and a book she's holding upside down. She's killed, murdered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evidently. And apparently Candace has been threatened by quite a few people, and apparently Jones has been threatened by quite a few people in relation to this. So obviously, whatever Candace has going on, even if she might be wrong on this point or that point,
she needs to tread lightly. I mean, like very lightly, because
big. And I'm wondering with these Epstein files, if maybe we might not be pushing on something big. And that's where Conspiracy Anon came in. Now, granted, I invited him on the show, but I'm starting to wonder, are we getting a little bit too close to something? And disinformation was allowed to seep in because we're getting a little bit too close to the fire. And I have no doubt that's what's happening with Candace Jones.
I think about that all the time. I think about it all the time because even when I'm online, you know, on YouTube, you know, and I'm, you know,
things are going to slip through the cracks.
Am I getting a little bit too close to myself? Because, dude, you know, shit.
Yeah, but the closer you get to the shit pile, the more shit is going to seep through. Okay, so sometimes wrong information is going to come through, and it's just part of the job, and it's our job to sift through it. That's why we have to call it out.
Put it this way. I'll put it this way. If we are getting to the point where we are getting too close, I would rather be the guy standing on camera in front of the burning weed pile, getting a content high.
Yeah, and I'm not negating that point. What I'm saying is, as you get closer to something, get closer to the truth of something, you're going to get a lot more disinformation, and it's going to flood onto your desk. It's going to happen. That's why I say I don't fault Candace Owens, because she's just going, okay, I'm getting right into the nitty gritty of everything. Here's everything that has come across my desk. I'm just going to show you my fucking desk.
Yeah.
Here's everything. And I'm not going to fault her for that.
But here's why I said that. Okay. If I feel like I'm getting it too close, I would rather be the guy on camera in front of a burning pile of weed, getting a high and laugh, because I don't want to end up like Charlie Kirk.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely not. I mean, and if we wind up like Charlie Kirk, so be it. You know, justice be done, let the heavens fall.
Well, I know that, but the thing is, we all have to really tread lightly. I mean, I know the job we're doing.
Well, I know Candace Owens ain't going to tread lightly. That is a woman that will never tread lightly on anything, and she sticks to her guns. You know, whether she's wrong on a point or not, I don't know. I mean, some things I would agree with Jones on. Some things I would agree with Candace on in this regard. You know, give and take. You know, I'm not choosing sides here. What I'm saying is when I can respect that Candace is going gung-ho into this. She is pulling no punches. She is throwing out everything that comes across her desk. And she's sticking to her guns. That much I can respect.
She can still do that, but also tread lightly as well, because she has kids. She's a mom.
Yeah, I mean, war is risky, unfortunately.
She can still is risky. Doing, but again, tread lightly, because the thing is, she has to stop and think about, hey, Charlie Kirk died doing what he did.
Yeah.
You know, and he has two little ones. He took the
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah. And the risk is part of the game, unfortunately. And yeah, do what you have to protect your family and whatnot, but don't sell your soul. Do not sell your soul. And I'll question if that's what happened. And you're kind of alluding to that too, whether or not Conspiracy Anonymous had become compromised. Now, I don't think Candace Owens is compromised. I do not think she's Candace Owens. I don't think Jones is compromised.
Either he was compromised or he was bullshitting everybody all along.
Either that or he was just trolling us, at which point, shame
or
on
all three. Or all three.
Yeah. But
I'm not going to hold my breath because, like, hey, what happened last broadcast? That was last broadcast, man.
Yeah,
and
it has been agreed that for in light of what's happened and what he says were the repercussions, it was agreed by myself and him mutually that he's going to take a step back and just do his own thing, apart from TWRN. We gave it a shot. It didn't work out, and we wish him all the best. And I don't think he's trying to continue on with whatever it is he was doing. I don't pretend to know why or even fully understand the full scope of what he was trying to do or why. But it is what it is. And, this is for the better. And as far as Candace and Alex Jones are concerned, I support them both 100%. I understand that, when you're getting into the thick of things, especially when emotions are involved and it's people you care about, that, people are going to be throwing disinformation at us, especially when we get too close to the truth. And, and in that regard, I would say we just got to be wise to the game and just do our research because we want the truth. We want the truth of what happened to Charlie
Just in
Kirk.
case, Q Anon is the equivalent to Dread Pirate Robert, because anybody can be Dread Pirate Robert.
Yeah. And I know Jones has had his issues with QAnon. Again, quoting things like the Hillary Clinton allegedly having been arrested and being held at Gitmo and all that.
So it's anonymous.
Yeah. And, so I can understand where he had a grievance with that. I think he does harp on that too much because it's just there. What happened.
He needs to lay off.
No sense in beating a dead horse.
Oh yeah, he needs to lay off her because she's doing what he's doing. Hey,
yeah.
But don't attack someone else because look, what's happening is they're trying to create a division with the people here. Okay,
it is.
They're trying to create a divide with Alex Jones and Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles. Anybody who is out there trying to give us
disinformation.
The information. And so the thing is, the media is also stirring the pot because they don't want us to get our information elsewhere.
Yeah, they don't want the information getting out there. They want to be the sole news source and just propagate bullshit.
This is why I'm doing this.
If you can discredit the independent media, who has been relatively credible in lieu of the mainstream media, like Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, and whatnot, if you can discredit those people and you can sow division amongst the ranks, that's the game. And that's why I'm saying, I don't fault Candace for what she does and being strong, being dug in and passionate and unwavering in her conviction. All I will say is that we have to be mindful of the game that's being played against us. because this is a war. And we got to be mindful of the weapons of the enemy, which primarily is disinformation and sowing of division. And we are not exempt from being victims or falling prey to being caught up in disinformation when we get too close to something.
Yeah.
Or being pitted against each other. And I'm not trying to pit TWBRN against Anonymous or even Conspiracy Anonymous. And I don't any more than I support the idea of Candace Owens and Alex Jones having beef right now. I think that's bad news bears, and we need to see the game for what it is. It's a divide and conquer narrative.
It is what it is.
We fell victim to it. Jones and Candace seemingly have fallen victim to it. And we're all better than that. We need to come together and be like, look, let's just focus on the facts. Let's dig in. Let's ascertain the truth. And I see both sides of the argument with Candace and Jones. At which point I would say the two of them best thing that could happen, best case scenario, the two of them sit down together and go, okay, this is it. This is how Jones cites how he feels about the situation. She cites how she feels about the situation. They go, okay, let's find common ground and let's work together to uncover the truth of Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
And in terms of Conspiracy Anon, it's okay. If you want to be a part of this, we can work together, but we have rules. We can come together in terms of a common enemy and combating a common enemy. But we are not each other's enemies.
No.
And just like with Candace and Alex Jones,
I think
they need to both go. It's like, look, we are not each other's enemies. And that's the point I'm trying to illustrate with TWBRN and Conspiracy Anonymous. Is like, we are not your enemies, bro. We love you to death. And yeah, we're not enemies here, but we can't allow that to happen ever again. We're all better than that.
I think what he needs to do is kind of take a step back for a bit. And
that was as much his decision as it was mine. He agreed to take a step back.
Again, we're not here to attack the guy. We're just here trying to say, look, dude, you pretty much bullshit us on some things.
Yeah.
And we even looked everywhere. We looked everywhere. Okay, even 410, even everywhere else, nothing.
Yeah.
So
and
all we're saying is next time if we come back and come on the program, make sure you have everything.
Make sure you have your ducks in a row and everything's verified. And if you're worried about releasing something that you shouldn't, then don't even mention it.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't jump the gun on something, especially like, maybe in a non-op that's still in the process of being worked out. Don't jump off the high dive before there's water in the pool.
Is there any option in the works? Maybe, but
maybe not. But I don't know. They come out when they come out. They do what they do. But don't sit there and put a hex on the whole damn thing by blowing it out of the water early on.
It's just smart to kind of just take a step back and really assess what happened.
Yes.
And hope that it never happens again where you mess yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just need to be mindful of in closing, I just want it understood that all of us, whether it be Candace Owens and Alex Jones or TWBRN and Conspiracy Anonymous, it needs to be understood that we're getting caught up in the divide and conquer narrative by way of disinformation. Yeah, by way of disinformation, and we need to be mindful of it and overcome it. Now, however you choose to address the issues respectively is up to the individual. Now, as far as I'm concerned personally, love Candace Owens, fully support her and everything she's trying to do. Same with Alex Jones. And I love Conspiracy Anon. He's been a great friend for years. I value our friendship. And as a friend, I'm going to hold my friend's feet to the fire and be like, hey, bro, as a friend, I got to tell you, you messed up. Do better. Be better. I know you are better. So do better. But in that, I think it's high time we go ahead and call it. It's already after 1.
Yeah.
So, Reverend, thank you for joining me on this episode of TinMan TV. You've been a great contributor to this conversation. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And to everybody watching, keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts and opinions. What's going on? What do you think's going on with Candace Owens and Alex Jones and the whole thing with Turning Point USA? How do you think they can resolve that? And what do you think about what happened on the last roundtable with Conspiracy Anon, and what you think that was all about, and how to best move forward from that? And just give your thoughts on things like QAnon or any of these issues that we have talked about here. Just feel free to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And as always, if you have enjoyed this transmission, share the live feeds, share the retransmissions. If you're on YouTube, hit the like and notification bell to fuck up YouTube's algorithm and help us to reach more people. And follow us on at RealTWRN on Rumble, YouTube, and X. Again, help spread the word, because, again, it's not just about getting in the ear of other people, but the more people that hear it, the more likely the Orange Man is going to hear it. And if he does, in fact, listen to the American people from time to time, if we can get in his ear and get him to do the right things, great. But we can't do that without you sharing the live feeds, without you putting it in the Orange Man's ear, without you. We're just a couple guys running our mouths.
Yeah.
This is by you, for you, about you, because we love you. So if you're watching this, always remember, and I will say it every damn time, this is the TinMan with the Worldwide Resistance Network. On behalf of Revan, if you're watching this, you are the resistance.